There are words, and then there are the right words. Stick around. We are going to talk to Rhonda Payne in just a few minutes, and she's going to be talking about the written word today. Rhonda Payne, aka a girl with a pen. But I am Traci Poe, the host of the Communicate Great podcast and the founder of Communicate Great. And we are here to bring tips on how to level up your communication. So, Rhonda, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Traci. It's always a
I
pleasure.
Yeah, Rhonda and I, every time we get together for a podcast or a summit or whatever it is, we spend so much time chatting before and after. So it's just fun. We love our little time together. So, okay, Rhonda, for those who don't know who you are, go ahead and let our audience know what you are all about.
Well, I'm a writer. And so, like many writers, and there's lots of us out there in the world, you probably know one, we're born writers. We come out of the womb that way. It's just how we're wired. And we look at things a little bit differently than other people. So, my background is in marketing and communications. I did that for a number of years. And then I went out on my own. I've been a freelance writer for about 20 years. And what I've learned over, well, not just the 20 years I've been on my own, but when I was in marketing, that's probably where I learned this the most, is that using the right words comes down to not just what you're trying to say and not just the brand or the personality that you're trying to communicate, but it also comes down to the tool that you're communicating through. And with the advent of, all the different technologies that we use with texting, with email, with blogs, our tone needs to adjust to make sure that people are getting what they expect.
Mm-hmm. Right, right. So you mentioned that you do all of these things, and I know the depth of some of it, but you are a blogger,
Mhm,
and you also work for a magazine or write
mhm.
articles for a magazine, is that correct?
I do.
And
So if
then
I split my life up, I
yes.
I generally say I live in 3 buckets.
Okay.
So my 3 buckets are I'm a freelance writer, which I think of that as being the articles I write for publications, the magazine I'm an editor of. Those are the freelance parts. Bucket number 2 is I'm a copywriter, and that means that I write for businesses. I do their blogs. I do their articles. I help them write their sales emails. And then bucket number 3 is I'm a creative writer. Of course, that gets the
Yeah.
least amount of my time because it doesn't pay the bills immediately, but I love it. And that's where this writing journey started, was with the creative
Mm.
writing. I loved to again, going back to that intro, I love to tell a story, as does every other writer that you've ever come across. We like to tell a story. That's generally how we fell into this. Doesn't mean we all
Mm.
started off writing fiction, but we all like to tell a tale.
Mm. Stories. I was actually working with a client this morning, and we were talking about the power of story. I'm helping her with her public speaking, and so I was just kind of reminding her that the power of story is huge, and I know it is in writing, and it definitely is in giving talks.
Mhm.
So when you think about before the written word ever existed, people were sitting around and passing history down and sharing lessons
Absolutely.
through the power of story. So I love that you deal in story to a certain extent. So okay, all
But
right.
even I
So
want to expand on that, even what we were talking about before we started the recording, and I mentioned the audio CDs that I've been listening to in my car.
yes, yes,
Part of the reason that's so engaging is because there's an element of personal story, but then there's also the story from the book that he's referencing. So
mm,
it's it's just these little snippets of story that are linked together, and that's what keeps your attention so beautifully, and you want to
Right.
learn more.
Right. 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 Okay. All right. So you are here to bring us some tips on how to communicate more effectively.
Mhm.
So go ahead and start. What is tip number one?
Okay, tip number 1 is know your tool. So, is it, as we spoke about earlier, is it that you're gonna sit down and write the Christmas letter for the year? Is it that you're firing a text off to your child's teacher? There's something you're not
Mm.
impressed about. Is it that you're sending a sales email from work? Is it that someone has asked you to put together a report?
Mm.
Know your tool.
Mm.
Think about that
Right.
tool.
Right.
By knowing the tool, you can consider your audience a little bit more carefully. Okay, so it's easy with the text going off to, the child's teacher. That's a
Right.
one-person audience, you know who it's going to, but you really have to consider, "Okay, this is a text. I wanna be understood. I know I can be brief. I know that I can be less formal, but there's also greater room for misinterpretation,
Yes.
so I need to be
Yeah.
careful."
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing a sales email. This sales email is going to go out to all of the clients who have purchased a squeezy ball from us in the past, and we want them to buy the matching blue squeezy ball. That's gonna be a much more polished tone and polished approach, and it's gonna require more thought because it's going to a larger audience. Okay?
Mm.
So
Mm.
that's what I mean when I say think about your tool first.
Mm-hmm.
In my day-to-day, when I'm editing for the magazine, so a writer has sent an article in to me that I've commissioned them for, I've asked for an article and I've said, "Okay, you're gonna write about X. I need it to cover these points." When I review that article, yes, I'm checking to make sure they did what I assigned them. But
Mm.
second, and perhaps more important, I'm looking to see if they've written to our audience and they know the tool. Are
Mm.
they using the right tone for an article in this publication? And do they understand the audience? So there you go.
Yes. 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 Okay. And to me, you talk about know the right tool or know what tool you're using and how to word it for that. One of my thoughts was I've had several, and I'm sure lots of us can say this. I've had several situations where I was texting with someone, and I'll give an example of one. One was with a coworker and a friend. I knew her as a friend, maybe before we were coworkers. Yeah, I think that's accurate. And so she texted me something that it just kind of like slapped me upside the face. And I immediately took offense to it, which that's a whole other thing. Choosing whether you're offended or not offended, that's a whole other
That
thing. But
is a whole other thing.
in the moment, it hit me wrong.
Yep.
And it was probably because I was tired already or stressed or whatever. I don't even remember. But I just remember going, oh, and I fired something back. And we're friends,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I fired something back, and then she fired something back, and then I fired something back, and then finally she was like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, this is heading in a not okay direction. What I really just want to explain is ABC." And
Mhm.
she luckily was the one, and normally I'm the peacemaker. I'm the one like, let's just slow it down. Let's talk it through. But luckily it was her who
Mhm.
did this. And so she was the one that was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, this is what I meant, not this. And so luckily we were able, even through text, to go ahead and figure out where we got off and
Mhm.
how to fix that. So that is
Oh, and
just
it
one.
happens in email. It happens anytime there's a dialogue, and And let's be serious, that didn't start with a dialogue. That started with a monologue.
Mm,
And as
mm.
we discussed earlier, did she communicate it correctly? Did you interpret it correctly? Are both at fault? Is one? We'll never know.
Right. Right. I probably both,
It
honestly.
usually is. You know,
Honestly.
we
Yeah.
can
Yeah,
always
yeah.
do better.
Right.
But I'm gonna bring up 2 things, two tips that
Okay.
correlate with that. One
Okay.
is, as a word girl, pick up the phone. Like, if if you sense it's going south and you're annoyed, and I get it, you
Mhm.
know what? Sometimes I'm a conflict avoider. I'd rather do it through text.
Mm.
I don't wanna pick up the phone, but
Right.
honestly, it saves way more time and way more grief if we just sometimes pick up the phone. And I've seen it through email. I have been the person CC'd on the emails that do this, and you're watching it and you're just thinking, "Wow, you are both out of control right now."
Right. Yeah.
Pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's tip number 1, pick up the phone.
Okay.
Tip number 2 is pause. Just pause. Um,
Yes.
and not just pause before responding. Okay, so, like, I've done that. I've had texts that have made me go 6 ways till Sunday and got myself all knickers in a twist, and I'm mad, and I'm interpreting, and I'm
Right.
I'm down the road around the corner with whatever this thought is.
Right.
And I'm thinking in my head, again, because I'm a word person, I'm already crafting replies. I need to just pause
Mhm.
and take a breath. Okay, so I'm going to give you a literal example that happened 2 nights ago. So I mentioned
Okay.
my husband's away, and we are in a fantasy football pool. We chat on our phones with the group that's in this whole pool together. We have our own little private
Okay.
chat. One of the group members is arguably a little difficult and a challenging individual.
Okay. Know some of those.
Yep.
Yep. Yep.
Um, he fired off something derogatory about a mutual friend that's in the group. My husband isn't here to talk me down off the wall and to tell me to
Okay.
take a breath.
Okay.
So I immediately, fingers on the phone, I'm about ready to slam back at this guy and just say, back off. You're talking about a person I care about. You don't know his situation. Who do you think you
Mhm.
are? I
Yes.
am and I just took a pause. Went into the kitchen, prepped dinner, came back, looked at the phone, and then typed a calm but pointed
Yes.
response and said, "You know what? This isn't cool. You don't know what's up with this person. And this isn't the place for you to make comments like this. There's no reason to do this."
Right.
So there's my tip. Take a breath.
Yes. Yes.
Take a beat.
Yep.
And then to add on to that tip, I don't know how many tips we're at now. We do this every time we talk about tips. You get bonus tips. So this is the bonus tip. This is the tip and a half. Um, After you've taken the beat, this is when I
Mhm.
want you to consider, is this the right tool? Right? So we talked about
Mm.
pick up the phone. Pick up the phone comes after tip and a half. Is this the right tool? Or do I need to pick up the phone? How many times have you been on a platform like LinkedIn or Alignable and you're messaging and the screen for your message, it's teeny and
It
you are
is.
trying to type and you can't see the sentence before, you don't know what you've said. I invariably, every time that happens and it's turning into a conversation with somebody, I'm getting to know somebody, I invariably will say, you know what, let's take this conversation to email where we have the opportunity to discuss it a little bit more
Mm.
thoughtfully, not
Mhm.
trying to confine it to a little chat screen. because
Right.
there's something to being able to see your words and see their message, right? And in email, you can do that. In those little
Yeah.
tiny message screens, you can't. It's frustrating. So
So
you
frustrating.
think about the tool, you think about if you're using
Right.
the right tool, and then you make a call and you can say, okay, let's move this to X. It also applies to companies that, we're all starting to get SMS messages, right? So companies are using these messages that they're sending to us via text because they know we're more likely to open them. But some of
Mhm.
the ones I get, my gosh, they're this long. Is that the right tool for that message?
Mm.
Probably not.
Mhm.
You probably should take that to a sales email or,
Right.
um, I find Instagram can get away with a bit of a longer written message if somebody's sort of tipped into it. They've kind of gone, "Oh, I've seen your first sentence. I'm curious." I click more. I get the big long message. Okay, that kind of
Right.
works. So think about the tool.
Mm. Mhm. Right, right. Yeah. I like that, and so I like that you're talking about different types. So we've got email, right?
Sorry, life just happened.
It is not a big deal. I There was one of the episodes where I had a dog sitting right there and just barking the whole time, so it is not a worry at all, but I know that we've talked about, email, we've talked about text, we talked about picking up the phone. I mean, I know we're talking about the written word today,
Yes,
so not necessarily at that, but, I'm a communication person. My preference is always gonna be face to face.
absolutely.
Always face to fa and then if you can't have face to face, phone to me is the next best
Yep.
because you can hear the tone, you
Absolutely.
can hear the distress in someone's voice if they're upset.
Absolutely.
You can hear so many things in someone's voice, beyond email or text, but I agree, email, you
Mhm.
can go deeper faster because you can see it all. When you were talking about the little tiny screen, I've been frustrated lately because I've been doing things and you've got this and you're like trying to scroll up or down to see what what you
Right?
just put and it's this ridiculous.
Well, and that even
So,
applies to when we're looking at email on our phones. How
yes.
big is the screen? How is your ability to get into what the context is of that message?
Mm,
And the written word allows us to explain things better, but it is one way in that moment because, like you say, you're not receiving those messages. You are not getting that body language. So I'll
mhm,
back the truck up and just talk about one of my buckets. We talked about my buckets. So when I am doing my freelance writer life and I'm working on an article, number one choice to interview somebody is in person.
mhm.
Second choice, Zoom or a tool
Zoom.
that allows me to
Mhm.
see the person. Third
Yep.
choice, phone.
Mhm.
Fourth choice, at an absolute desperation, is
Right.
email.
Email.
But
Mhm.
email interviews just generally don't work for a variety
Right.
of reasons. So,
Right.
like when you're writing an article and you want that article to be natural and convey what that person is feeling, thinking, or doing, you
Right.
want their thoughts. You don't want their polished marketing department reviewed, massaged words.
Yeah.
You want their thoughts because it's an article. Again, we're talking about the tool. This is an article. We want natural quotes. We don't want a quote that sounds like it's been run through Chat GPT.
Mhm.
And when I get quotes via email, they're massaged out the wazoo.
Yes.
They're
Yes.
not human. They
Right.
they lack emotion. Even if you said to
Right.
Chat GPT, "Hey, put some emotion into it," you know, they're not very human. So we need to recognize these things and again recognize the pluses and minuses of the tool that we're considering using and why we're using it.
Yes.
Um,
Mhm.
the Christmas letter. I brought up the Christmas letter.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the Christmas letter that we're sending out, number 1, who's the audience? Is it
Mhm.
close family and friends? Or is it everybody? Does everybody get the letter? Do you go out
Right.
and you print off
Right.
100 of these letters and put it in every Christmas card? I mean, not a lot of us send Christmas cards anymore, but for those of us who
Right.
do, think about who this is going to. Does your mom's best friend that you only interact with through the Christmas card and maybe a couple of texts once in a while, well, probably not even texts, maybe a Facebook post here and there, right?
There you go.
Do they need
Mhm.
to know that your husband had bunion surgery? Okay? So I'm just gonna put it out there. Consider
Yeah.
the tool and what you're gonna
Right.
put in the tool, and then consider the audience.
Right, right. And you brought up a good point because we've been talking about text or email or but the an actual letter. Yes, an actual card,
Yeah,
a letter, a handwritten note. Who does that
yeah,
anymore? So, and then obviously social media. I mean,
yes. And
you
the
can get really
biggest
lost on
tip,
social media.
honestly, for all of these things is take a beat.
Yes.
Like, so much goes so wrong by us just responding or reacting. We're at a restaurant, we've had a crappy experience. What do? We take to social media and write a crappy post. Could that be done better?
Right,
Was
right,
it that
right,
bad?
right,
Are you just caught up in the moment because you and your spouse had an argument while you were at the restaurant?
right. Yeah, yeah. I like that you talk about pause, take a beat, because when I'm working with people on conflict skills, that's one of the things I say is take a lap. And that could be physically take a lap or it could be just mentally take a lap. Right. But the point is sometimes, yes, you do need to separate yourself just for a moment,
Yep,
just for a moment to collect yourself and to make sure you're not going to respond in an unhealthy way that's just going to start this negative spiral
absolutely.
for sure.
And I
So, yeah.
agree that take a beat should be a take a lap. I find that myself that I need to get out of this chair, or if it's text, if it's an article I've read that's inflamed me, I need to get out of the place I physically was in when I read that. I need to move. I need to move my
Right.
body because if I stay there, I'm staying with that energy and I need to move on.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. 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 Okay. All right. Let's see. You've gone to 25 tips now. Is that how many we've done? I'm not sure.
We've had a
I'm not
few. We've had quite a few. Um,
but do
I
you have anything
I
else?
think the one I kinda wanna close on is
Okay.
in the knowing the formality of each tool. So,
Okay.
I'm gonna
Mm,
kinda put them on a bit of a scale. I'm gonna say,
okay.
"Okay, text
Love it.
tends to be least formal." Then we fall into social media, so things like, Instagram, TikTok, um, Facebook, depending on your
Mhm.
uses. Are you using it for business or is this just personal? So,
Right.
who's seeing it?
Right.
And tied into this knowing your tool is know your audience. Have you ever heard the
Yeah.
example of the girl on Facebook who it's a UK example. You'll know by the word I'm about to use, but it's a UK example where she had a really bad day at work, went home, posted on Facebook and said, "My boss is such a wanker. Do you know what he did?" She'd forgotten that her boss follows her on Facebook.
Yes.
So
Wow.
just it's the tool, but it's also the audience. And every time
Love
you and I have
you.
done one of these talks, I always bring up audience because it is
Yeah.
key point number 1. Okay.
Yeah.
So again, knowing the audience, knowing the tool, then we come down to something like email. Blogs and email may change. Email tends to be a little bit more formal than blogs, but it depends on the purpose of the email. Again, knowing your audience, what's your purpose? And then we get into things like articles, case studies, white papers. That's where we start to get
Mm,
more and more formal. So that's kind of
mhm,
our flow of formality. Um,
mm,
Again, they can jump each other. Things like newsletters can really fall in a range of places depending on the brand of the company and
mm,
what you're communicating. If it's meant to be a
uh-huh,
really light, fluffy, fun, goofy newsletter, it may fall up in the social media category. But if you're trying to invite people into more formal conversations, you want to get them into
mm.
complex issues, it's going to fall down into a little bit more formal of a tone.
Right, right,
So,
right. Yeah,
yes,
makes
there you go.
there you go. Lots of good information today, Rhonda Payne, aka Girl with a Pen. Okay, before we close out, is there anything else that you want to make sure the audience knows? How do they get in touch? All of that stuff. Bring us home.
You can find me in quite a few places. Generally, I am Girl with a Pen or a Girl with a Pen. You'll find me on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I have my own web page, but it's girlwithapen.ca because I am in Canada. Um, and you can always email me. So that's Rhonda. No, hang on. It's the other email. Oh, you know what? Just look up Girl with a Pen because my brain has gone blank. The cold is lingering in my brain, and I can't remember my secondary email, so just look up Girl with a Pen. You'll find me.
We'll look it up and we'll try to get that and put it in the show notes just so you have that. I'll grab it from her and make sure that it's there.
Fabulous.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much every time. I just love our conversations. Very helpful. So, Rhonda, thank you so much for coming on. And everybody, oh, before we hang up, before we close out, if you have not hit subscribe, like, notifications, comment, all of the things, and we will see you next time. All right. Bye.